comes much more into focus than the technical aspect. And actually what we see is that there are some battles of use ideologies coming up, which are trying to figure out which way you could use the internet and how to keep it actually in this utopian vision, to keep it free and free from authority and keep information free, use it for research and development, stuff like that. And so the freedom of information technology related information became sort of a political agenda. And this is of course the stage at which ideology is reached, because now we can say we already have a basic outset of technologies, and now we need a clear path to develop these and a clear idea to develop these into this and this particular shape, and then we will be able to reach this utopian idea we have. So this is actually something which can be witnessed, and of course a very strong movement in this particular concern is the open source movement, which was concerned with the freedom of information within information technology and research and development. And that, of course, was they developed the ideology, the open source ideology, as a concrete plan on how to change and how to use certain social patterns like the GPL, GNU, to actually produce that change which leads to a utopian or a more utopian society. Linux was a technical development helping in that. And of course another movement is the anti-surveillance movement, which grew up during that time basically as well and is now pretty big, and which is also concerned with the freedom of information. Of course, with the anti-surveillance movement, not actually the utopian idea of the free information society is very determining, but rather the dystopian idea of the entirely unfree information society, which was sketched out by 1984. I'm going to say a bit about that a bit later. And that movement as well developed an ideology and as well developed concrete, clear paths and ideas on what you could do or how you have to use the internet, how you have to design the internet, which conditions have to exist for its use to make it to push it into the utopian direction and away from the dystopian potential it has. And the anti-surveillance movement then used a couple of lawsuits as well and developed anonymizers as well, pretty good privacy and stuff like that, which were basically social and technological moves to push this agenda in an ideological way towards the utopian idea. And a very new stage, I believe, can be witnessed now as of late, just a very new phenomenon, and it's not really materializing that good as well. But we can also see that the idea of social utopia comes up as well, and some sort of globalizing ideology which extends from the pure local technology context of information communication technology. Like one thing of globalizing ideology is when you extend the idea of the freedom of information from the idea of the freedom of information, technical information, to the idea of the freedom of any sort of information. And when you deal with patenting of animals, for instance, then that is a clear case where you've extended that idea of information into a general idea of information, not just the research and development information for technology, information communication technology should be free, but any sort of information, any sort of knowledge, file sharing debate, also a good example, any sort of potential knowledge should be free and liberated and so on. So the ideology is actually globalizing. It's growing from this small local compound where it has emerged first into a more global component. And we also see some first social utopian ideas, like Equinox, for example, and some other utopian thinkers are trying to use this sort of utopian extrapolation. Well, information and communication technology is everywhere in society now, and probably if I change that, then society can be changed. Okay. Society can be changed in a very substantial way, and probably if I can think about how to rearrange the social order now in order to come to this utopian thing which I have in the back of my mind. So we can see now some first advances where the hacker community proposes new utopian ideas, some sort of free information society with more democracy, freedom from capitalism, censorship, dictators, and other menaces. These are all ideas which are coming up now in a very substantial way, and a couple of initiatives, variants, and so on. And You done now? Okay. It's not good to give the last talk on the day, to try and play around and... Okay, and yeah, and in many of these utopian visions, the technology stays fixed because there's not very much to change anymore. Everybody has the internet, everybody has computers, and the changes which we're striving for are social now. They concern the conditions of use and the social order and within which the technology is embedded. So they are sort of developing social utopias. Okay, and how's my timing? I think I'm pretty quick. What time is it? 15 minutes. Okay, oh, that's okay. Okay, now the last part of my talk, I think that this development of utopian ideas and this parallel development of social order, new ideas on social order and new ideas on technologies is an important thing to consider now at the current times, because I believe, and I very firmly believe, that the information society actually is a very dangerous place. And 1984 is a very substantial dystopian idea because what it did in 1984 was just to combine two aspects. It was only two aspects in 1984. The one is totalitarianism, which is a phenomenon which reappears in... It's a bit distracting. Which... it's a bit blinking lights here, huh? Totalitarianism is actually is a very common phenomenon. We have a lot of writing about that, a lot of drama about it. But the thing which distinguished 1984 from other dystopian dramas or from other dramas dealing with totalitarianism was the use of and the embedding of information technology. You know, information technology was everywhere, and okay, and. So that gave the particular impact for this novel, 1984, and for the particular dystopian vision. And I think that that is the immense danger, and because if we're now in this stage where everybody has information and communication technology around him or her, then this aspect of 1984 with the information technology, which is able to surveil everyone and in every particular moment of his life. That's a part of this novel which got true already. You know, only the totalitarianism part is missing. But the problem with the totalitarianism part is that we do not have a solid recipe to prevent totalitarianism in the future. So if we have this sort of information technology which was devised in 1984, and a totalitarian dictatorship will come up at some point, and it will eventually happen because we cannot prevent this. That's something that happens every once in a while in society, and we do not have a recipe. So it's likely that it's going to happen again, despite Americans tend not to believe in that, but it might appear. And then we're actually immediately in this dystopian situation of 1984, because any new dictator which will come up will be ultimately capable to surveil us, each and every one of us, in each and every aspect of our life. So that's a very dangerous thing. And political activism with a clear agenda addressing this dystopian part is a very important thing to have at the moment, because this current design of information technology needs to be revised and needs to be covered very closely so we do not get into this whole surveillance problem. And so while we're now entering in this, in the middle of this stage 3 thing where we're developing ideologies and even entering stage 4, where we're about to develop social utopias and some globalizing ideologies concerning the freedom of any sort of information, then the development of ideologies and of new social utopias need a lot of care, because there's a lot of responsibility attached to this. And in this particular stage, I believe we have to ask ourselves what could be a genuine and good agenda to follow from within the hacker utopian ideas and from within the hacker ethic. I think there is a genuine agenda when you consider the free information society, like any sort of, to keep any sort of free information free. That's addressing societal problems related to the freedom of knowledge or to the potentials of techno-authoritarian suppression. That's very much in line with the hacker ethic, actually, the freedom of information, and to distrust authorities and to be aware of the misuse of technology which can happen by their use of authority.